Hello everybody, you're watching Dosti with Zahid Minhas, and it's going to be a very, very special episode for us because one of the legends of Pakistan is in Sydney at the moment, and we will be talking about him and also his party and whatever his purposes are in Pakistan. As you know, the Pakistan is going through a very, very bad situation at the moment, and we do not see any hope, especially with the new government, and he is the only one who is looking like at least opposition, because as you can tell, opposition PM and is very quiet at the moment as well. We not only be talking about today's episode about local issues in Pakistan, but also international issues and his vision about Pakistan as well. With Tehreek-e-Insaf, people who do not understand about Tehreek-e-Insaf, is a justice movement which is run by Imran Khan and his team. So let's welcome to the studio. We won't take long, and he's a very, very busy man. So Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you sir today?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. You must be very tired, must be going around Sydney. It's very hectic.
Because I only came for a short visit, obviously tried to pack a lot into it, because it's not easy to come to Australia. It's right on the other side of the world.
Exactly.
So, yes, it has been a busy schedule.
Thank you very much for giving us the time, because there's a lot of community here waiting for you to give you views about international views and all that. Well, let's talk about Pakistan at the moment. Pakistan is in a dire straits situation, and if you really look at it, we do not have any leadership, a strong leadership who can tackle those issues, and opposition is none to be seen there. So what's your uptake on that one? How bad Pakistan is at the moment?
Well, there is no doubt that Pakistan today is at crossroads, that if it does not change the system, the present system is going to sink Pakistan. In other words, it is quite possible that Pakistan could break up. It is possible that Pakistan could have anarchy. It could move towards total chaos, because we have what we had, unfortunately, despite the people going out to vote against Musharraf, voting for the Chief Justice, independent justice system, and people did not want the military to kill its own people. They wanted the tribal area situation to be solved through negotiations and dialogue. Despite the public voting that, and this is 80% of the public voted on those patterns which I've just mentioned, despite that, we have had no change. In fact, all we have is that Musharraf has gone and Musharraf Mark II has taken his place. We have an Asif Zardari, a totally subservient president, all-powerful president, but totally subservient to the United States. Whatever the Americans expect from him, he's willing to do even more, even if it means going against Pakistan's national interest, if it means Pakistani soldiers dying and Pakistani citizens dying. As long as he can ingratiate himself to the US administration, he's willing to do anything for them. And unfortunately, it is not for the benefit of Pakistan, but it is to secure his $1.5 billion wealth stashed abroad, which the Americans know all about. And it was the Americans who brokered the National Reconciliation Ordinance between Musharraf and Asif Zardari. So we see him completely beholden to them. He's working against Pakistan's interest. He's contributing to Pakistan going into chaos, because clearly when you bomb people, when you have 500,000 refugees out of one tribal agency, then there's going to be reaction. And that reaction is destroying the Pakistan economy even further. Already we are going through an economic meltdown, and with terrorism, rise in terrorism, the business confidence, the entrepreneurs, the investors don't want to come to Pakistan. In fact, what we're seeing is a flight of capital, and it's reflected in the rupee touching almost 80 rupees to a dollar.
Yeah, that's fine. Now, you've been visiting Fatah a lot, and you have a very strong holding in Fatah and tribal area. I mean, what is the ground situation there? Because I'm quoting Babar Awan here, Senator Babar Awan, and according to him, there's no security threats to Pakistan and everything is under control. And even though we see in not only in the media, but the ground realities there are a big war going on in Fatah, and there's a big war going on in Balochistan as well. So, I mean, what's the ground realities there?
Well, unfortunately, people like Babar Awan are no different to the members of Q League who were all supporting Musharraf until very recently. They were coming on television and blatantly lying in front of the audience, just telling lies and unashamedly telling lies. And now we see senior members of people's parties, government, ministers doing exactly the same. We see Sherry Rahman doing exactly what Durrani was doing or Sheikh Rashid was doing. She came there and tried to, everyone read the article on Wall Street where Asif Zardari said that the people who are fighting for their freedom in Kashmir are terrorists.
Exactly.
Where he said Bush is a man of peace. 75% of the Americans think that Bush has made the world a much more dangerous place. 75% of the Americans. And this sycophant of a man, I don't recognize him as a president. He goes and tells the Bush that he's a man of peace.
Exactly.
And so this sort of sycophancy by our elite and then the People's Party ministers knowing what is blatantly untrue. When Rahman Malik went on television and said that the Marriott bomb was supposed to be targeting the Prime Minister and the President.
Yes.
It was just total lies.
Yes.
Because Hashwani, who owned the hotel, said there was no booking.
Yes.
So all this was to tell the Americans that, look, we are risking our lives to serve you.
Yes. Well, I have seen that press conference, and Marriott has been called 9/11 of Pakistan as well, and that was a big loss to our nation. Not only to our nation, but a very, very big damage to our economic confidence as well. But let's move on now to Tehreek-e-Insaf now. I mean, your organization's running as a justice movement, providing a justice and everything for the people of Pakistan, and we are running a system which is an old system, been implemented by British in 1935, which has not been, more or less not been changed. I mean, do you have a team which is going to work through the system and introduce a new system eventually?
Not only does Tehreek-e-Insaf have a vision for Pakistan, which is going to make Pakistan into what it should have been, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's Pakistan, which was a Pakistan where there was rule of law, a Pakistan which was a welfare state, a Pakistan where seeking knowledge was a priority. In other words, education was a priority. And above all, a Pakistan that was sovereign, that had come out of slavery under the British, and now people wanted, and the personality of Quaid-e-Azam was that he never bowed in front of anyone. You know, it's unthinkable that he would go and do such sycophancy as Zardari has done in the United States. Quaid-e-Azam was respected by his opponents. Quaid-e-Azam had dignity. And above all, Quaid-e-Azam did not have the slave mentality. He was a free man. And unfortunately, what we see right now is the most shameful type of slavery which Pakistan is going through.
That's okay. And now, because what I've seen and what so far we have seen in Pakistan is the reputation of the things that's been happening for a while. But now what I would like to ask you is that, is Tehreek-e-Insaf is going to change that? Because most of the time the democratic and the democracy is not being looked after in Pakistan very well. And the people who are supposed to be very representative of democracy, they have not built up institutions such as the democratic institutions, and everybody comes and they fill up their pockets and go, and they don't have an internal politics either. And in leadership challenges, if nothing happens, for example, I'll give you an example of that is Rahman Malik, advisory to Interior Ministry. And I was watching his press conference, and he said, well, he was taking credit on those security guards, that the security guards have been doing these things and all that, but there was no accountability. But is Tehreek-e-Insaf is going to promote that accountability, and are they going to build up those institutions?
Tehreek-e-Insaf was the first party that said that there can be no reform in Pakistan until the judiciary was independent.